Hey guys, welcome back to another video. Appreciate you tuning in. So I'm going to go over how we 4X our cold email positive reply rates overnight. So if you're new here, if you haven't watched my last few videos, I've been building out a email campaign live on YouTube, documenting the entire process from scraping the leads and the campaign strategy all the way to how I'm personalizing the emails. I launched it live on YouTube, documenting the whole thing. So in the last video, I went over a strategy and where we were about midway through, and noticed that we had actually 4X'd our cold email positive reply rate literally overnight. I'm talking 24 hours later, 24 hours after launching the campaign live, we beat our positive reply rate record by 4X. So pretty good. Considering it was done live, I was kind of nervous, I'm not going to lie. But so this is a summation of everything that's happened, what we've learned. I wanted to document this for our internal process, my team internally, but also so that I can learn from it, and anybody who's new to cold email can take this stuff and run with it as well, hopefully save you some time and hassle on your journey. So this is how we 4X our cold email positive reply rates overnight and added $5,000 in pipeline in 48 hours. If you don't know who I am, my name is Pablo Malandu. I'm the founder and CEO of Vintascale, a B2B lead generation agency. Without further ado, this is our case study. Let's begin. So where we were at just a couple of days ago, launching this campaign, cold email wasn't working. It was working, just not to the degree that I wanted it to be. We were sending about 1,000 emails a day and not getting the responses that we wanted to. And by the way, I'm framing this way so that you can see, if you just zoom out of everything I'm saying, you can see that cold email is a lot about testing, as is ads, as is any sort of outreach. Cold email is a lot about testing. You're going to flop a lot, but you got to send a lot so that you can see what works. A lot of this it's not failed campaigns. It's about getting information and data points. And if you assess it properly, like I did in the last video, I hope, and you implement the right sort of tactics and strategies going forward, it's very easy to turn what seems like a failing campaign into a winning campaign, right? So that's what a lot of this is about. So don't get too discouraged if you're not seeing the results that you want. The people who are succeeding in cold email at the highest level, they just run the most campaigns, and they've lost the most. They've failed at cold email the most, and they just know what works. And this is how quickly you can go from what seems like a losing campaign to a winning campaign, literally in a matter of hours. It's that easy to tweak, which is why cold email is great, because it's also the most cost-effective form of outreach. So our positive reply rates were stuck between 0 and 15%, which is below industry average. It's a debate, and we'll get into that in a little bit, but definitely below where I wanted it to be. The positive reply rates, so not the reply rates, but out of all the replies we're getting, how many of those are positive? It was between 0 and 15%. So out of 10 responses we would get, about 1 to 2 of those would be positive replies. Despite the clean copy, the good deliverability, what we thought was a good offer, it was low. And this is kind of what I like about cold email. It's all this, I like ads too, but cold email is what we do. And it's a lot of problem solving in this way, in a way that's really rewarding when you get it right. So we decided to stay focused on the staffing and recruitment industry, which is our specialty. But there was still some struggle there in terms of how to actually improve the positive reply rate. So the real question was, how do we get the right people to say yes? We're getting a lot of either out of office replies, or no thank you, not interested, or not right now, or check in 3 months, but not a lot of like, yeah, let's talk, let's chat, right? How can I book a meeting with you, Pablo? So we found 3 simple changes that changed everything. Here's where we were, and I'll zoom in for you. But these are screenshots. And again, if you were watching a couple of videos, I've shared a couple of these, I believe. But these were some recent campaigns that we ran, and I have the dates and the timestamps when they were created and everything. So we'll go through this. But as you can see, we launched just a few experiments. We launched experiments, new offer statements, new niches, new sub niches all the time. We're always testing. So ran and you can see these are mini campaigns, sub 500 leads. Bookkeeping firms, startup recruiters, so recruitment firms that focus on startups, SaaS companies that focus on making construction software, SaaS companies that focus on making software for law firms, general recruiters, but sending over lead magnets, stuff like that. And so you can see our reply rates were okay, considering it's a lead generation offer. Typically you're not going to have out of this world reply rates, but you're going to have reply rates you can really work and scale with, right? So I'm talking between, let's say 1% to 2%. You can even work with 0.85 if it's the right offer. So you can see that right here. And our positive reply rate at its highest was about 16%, 17%, right? I'd say on average about 15%. Bounce rate always really low. We do a really good job of cleaning our leads. Like I said, and I'm always transparent with this, we just use Mail Tester Ninja. That's it. We don't use Million Verify or anything like that. I haven't tried that, so I'm not knocking it, but we only ever have to clean our leads once. So summarizing this was the before state. As you can see, by the way, if a industry average of positive reply rates is 20%, we were definitely below that. We could just make this work because we can just send more emails, but we want these campaigns to be a lot more lucrative, right? So for recruiters, our positive reply rate was, that should say 16% right here. And I don't know if I can change it on the fly, but it's okay. I'll change that later. So I should say 16% right there. Bookkeeping firms, probably not a niche that I'd go after again right now, but I do have a strategy that I think is going to work out really well. I have to adjust my targeting there. I think I know what I'm going to do. Target more recently founded bookkeepers and not like the dinosaurs. But what was it? Same reply rate. This was 14%. If you look at the top right there, that's 14% reply rate, right? So I generated this with Claude, by the way. The bullet points. So some of these percentages might be off. I'll go ahead and correct them before I link this in the description. And then startup recruiters. And this was a lead magnet campaign. The second one right here, startup recruiters. These were about 2 weeks ago, 2 or 3 weeks ago. 2.3% reply rate, so good. Positive reply rate was only about 16%. So what that means is that of every 5 people, one, if that, or less than one person actually cares or wants what I was offering. So clearly, we could do better. We had to rebuild from scratch, and the goal is to do that quickly. Do it right and do it fast. So what we thought we were doing right was, we had the clean professional copy, we had the industry expertise. So I personally have work experience as a recruiter. I was the top performer at a boutique recruitment firm in Toronto, Canada. Good deliverability and reply rates. Like I mentioned, our reply rates were good for cold email. So cold email, I mean, if you're new to the cold email world, a 1 to 2% reply rate is considered good. You work with that, you scale that. What was actually happening and what was actually broken was we were getting replies, but not positive replies, not a lot of positive replies. And I was looking around at some of the peers in this space. I try not to, but I was looking at the results, and a lot of them were getting like 50% reply rates, 50% reply rates. I was like, what were they doing, right? The offer looked like every other lead generation agency out there, unfortunately, and the copy didn't move anyone to action, clearly, right? So that's what was happening. This is what was going through my mind if I didn't articulate it in the last couple of videos when I was live streaming this. Not live streaming, but recording it while I was doing it. But that's what was in my head, right? That's what was in my head. I was like, okay, we're doing all the things we're supposed to do, but the things we want to see aren't happening. So our copy wasn't moving any of these folks into actual action, into actual booking meetings or anything like that. By the way, I have booked meetings with this. That'll be in the next case study I put out on this campaign about how much we've generated in pipeline. So I will update you guys. So now let's talk about some metrics. This is the numbers piece. I love the numbers. I love the numbers. I love the numbers. I used to be someone who didn't track everything. I was kind of just like freestyling my businesses. Tracking, now I realize that's very amateur. Tracking everything makes a huge difference in how quickly you can adjust and course correct, which is why I think we're seeing success when it comes to positive reply rates in our campaigns now. So the hidden metrics that matter. So most people, at least my old self, track the wrong thing. So they track open rates, they track just reply rates, which is very misleading, especially because a lot of people in this space inflate their reply rates with out of office replies. They count those, or they count the maternity leave replies, or they count that stuff, unfortunately. So the reply rates are misleading. The click-through rates, it doesn't predict sale. Like, people don't track the right things. What actually matters is positive reply rates, reply to meeting conversion rate, or email to conversion rate, and then your closing rate as well. So I got to edit this. I got to add one in, actually. So number of emails sent to meetings booked is a huge ratio, and then number of meetings booked to closing rate, obviously. So I'm gonna fix that there. But our reply rates were 1 to 2%. Our positive reply rates were 0 to 15%. So on some of these campaigns, I'm just gonna rewind here to show the proof. We weren't getting any positive replies, right? If you look at these two in the middle, where it's 1 in blue, 1 reply each, and then 0 positive replies. It just says go to master inbox. whatever that's supposed to mean. So we were getting 0 to 15% positive reply rates, which is not great. I mean, these campaigns they're only working because we're sending so many emails, but it's not like they were lucrative by any stretch of imagination. The industry benchmark, like I mentioned before, is 20%. 20% positive reply rate is considered good. And we wanted to overshoot and double that. And that's exactly what we achieved. So the 3-level framework that changed framework that changed everything. So, and then again, this is the stuff that I was playing with live. If we actually go back to the cold email money printer diagram here. So this is from the last video where I was analyzing the exact campaigns that I launched live, and these are the things that I was planning to do. I actually didn't touch anything. I didn't touch anything because this was still at 50%, these two campaigns, as you could see. So I didn't touch anything, but these were the things that we went over, if you were there and if you recall. We also took a look at the copy as well, right? So there are 3 levers that we had to play with here, right? So targeting, offer, and copy. So I really just went back to my own blueprint here of what I've built that has working for us in our agency. You can access this in if you rewind again a couple of videos. So the lead list targeting, right? I literally did exactly what I talk about, and I'll dive deep into that in a second. The targeting, the offer, again, the same thing we do for our clients is the same thing we do for ourselves, and it works. So we had to correct the offer, and then the copy. So I just went back to this. This is the copy, right? I went back to this and just made sure that I was doing everything here, because like I said in the cold email money printer OG video, if your campaigns are not working, it's very likely that you are not doing something in this map. This map has everything you need to get it right. So I just backtrack, right? I backtrack and I go through each like major green thing right here. So each major component of making an email campaign work. The leads, the copy, the campaign management, how you're managing the campaign, the success multipliers, right? And then the sales calls. Very, very, very simple. But this is I'm adding to this. I'm continuing to build this as we go, which is why it's really cool to see these case studies, or these campaigns built, because what's happening in the campaign I put into a case study, and then I also adjust the framework in real time. And we were going through the campaign live, and I might just take this whole thing, this whole tree or map right here, the analytics piece, and I'm very likely just going to add that to the cold email money printer as a section, another section, maybe beside infrastructure, because analytics, reviewing your campaign analytics is a huge, and knowing how to course correct is a huge factor in making a campaign work. So I'll just give you guys all these notes. All right. And I'll just offer this to you guys as a freebie. So these were the 3 things that we changed. Targeting is the first lever. We got hyper specific about who we reached out to. Lever 2 was our offer. We removed friction and added guarantees, like undeniable money back guarantees. And then lever 3 is our copy. So we didn't change our offer completely, but we just tweaked it a bit, and how we presented it and framed it, we also tweaked that as well. We broke some rules here in terms of like the word limit. Everybody's writing these super short emails, which I love, but we broke that rule. We actually did the opposite. We went against the grain. We also just made it really human. We made it low pressure. The call to action, we made it high value. Yeah, and we just made it human. So all 3 had to change simultaneously. I'm a firm believer that if your campaigns aren't performing the way you'd like them to, it's usually the offer, because a no-brainer offer trumps everything else. Provided your deliverability is good, which more often than not, it's good enough. I've learned, and it's funny because everybody obsesses over deliverability, as did I, but it's usually good enough. It's usually just your offer. And if not your offer, the way you're communicating and presenting it. And you can reframe your offer. You can communicate a saturated offer in a lot of different ways. And Alex Hormozi's $100 million offers is great proof of this. But long story short, all 3 had to change simultaneously. So the compound effect is about 1.5 times. So you can increase the success of your campaign, or the positive reply rates, by 1.5x. So that's 150% per lever. So that's about 3.4, 3.5. Is that right? That should be closer to 4, because we 4x'd. So the compound effect. Sorry guys, I used Claude. I talk into ChatGPT, and it generates the slides for me. Just full disclosure. So it gets some of the numbers wrong, but I will correct this for you. So the compound effect is 1.5x improvement per lever. So in other words, spending all that time, again, live doing the analytics on what I was going to change and stuff like that, that, going back and redoing the targeting and rethinking about that strategy paid off in terms of 150% improvement. And then what we did with the offer was another 150% on top of that first one. And then what we did with the copy and changing it, it was funny. I was falling asleep while I was doing it on camera. It was so late. So that added another 150%. So effort pays off. It really does. And I think why a lot of people fail is because they optimize one lever at a time, which is fine. They just focus on the copy and they test that. I just think, I don't know, when I really took a step back and broke everything down, I'm like, okay, this has to change, this has to change, this has to change. The targeting has to be better, the offer has to be better, the copy has to be better. Maybe because I was recording it and the stakes were higher. And I published it before seeing the results, but I just wanted it to be real. So just as a preview, our reply rates went from, our positive reply rates, went from 0 to 15% to 40 to 60% positive reply rates, which was insane. It was insane. So let's dive deeper. So targeting, right? And when we talk about targeting, we got really, really deep, right? It was this whole thing right here when we're talking about building a lead list. It's who we're targeting and how we're doing it, and then how we're scaling. So I'll zoom in for you guys in a moment here. I know this text is small, but in terms of before, so we were just targeting the broad staffing and recruitment industry. Staffing industry is maybe 1 to 50 employees, any geography within the United States, and that was a bit wide. The United States is fine, you know, it was fine, but like it was just too wide when you overlap that with head counts. Like if you're going to go wide on one, you got to go narrow on the other. So we stayed wide with the US, went narrow on the head count. So we went US based boutique staffing firms, 3 to 10 employees. I actually, for the sake of getting enough leads and sending 1,000 emails a day, I actually increased this to 3 to 12 or 2 to 12, something like that. So we got very specific with the employee count range. Geographic focus stayed US, and then it was just, again, boutique firms implied by that head count. So no enterprise, nothing above 50 at least. Our targeting, we looked at LinkedIn Sales Navigator a bit, but really it was focused on Apollo. So I'm just going to replace this thing right here because, again, I did it live. I used Apollo. Industry association, okay, forgive ChatGPT. I'm going to remove that. And then, yeah, it was really just this right here. So let's just ignore that. But it was just this. These were the only filters that I was focused on in Apollo. Going back to the cold email, money printer blueprint, 3 to 10 employees, USA industry, focus on a sub niche, so boutique recruiters, and focus on that because we can speak the language. It was a very sizable total addressable market. If we wanted to scale, we would increase the company size gradually, like we're starting to do now, inch by inch. You know, going from 3 to 10 to maybe 2 to 11, 2 to 12, 2 to 15, 2 to 20, and just see where we start to get diminishing returns and have that fall off. From there, that's the first lever I like to use. We can also expand to Canada, UK, Australia, and New Zealand, broaden the niche a little bit. You know, I use Apollo. I scraped with Apify, cleaned the leads in Clay, and then did all this fun stuff. Made sure that the emails were solid, company names were cleaned, scraped their website to gain additional research, personalize the emails with a very small touch of ChatGPT. This was one of the most intensive email campaigns I ran from a copywriting perspective because I really had to think deeply about that. So the message market fit improved dramatically was the final result. Why I think it worked? Targeting small teams where I find that the CEOs, presidents, founders of these companies are a lot more responsive when it comes, smaller companies. They're also, I believe, less likely to be doing cold email already, at least at scale. It's a great way to get clients and customers, undeniably. It's easier to stand out and book meetings when you're targeting smaller companies, and we could speak their exact language and pain points because we are a boutique agency ourselves. So this I'm going to delete. Let's ignore that. So that was the main shift we made in terms of targeting. It's just narrowing it, which is usually the answer for positive reply rates. And then if you just want more meetings and replies in general, you just crank it. You just send more emails. So going even deeper, we just thought really deeply about like the competitive landscape. Who are other agencies targeting? What size companies get the most attention? Where are the gaps in the market? We thought about underserved segments, so companies too small for the big fish, companies too sophisticated or too unique for just generic approaches, stuff like that. Thought about how we can reach the actual decision maker, because try sending a cold email to Goldman Sachs or Robert Half or any of these giant mega corporations. You're not getting through, right? You might if you're a bigger agency, but we're again a boutique agency. Thought deeply about their buying process as well. If they're likely to do this over cold email, or do you need to be referred by someone that they already have a relationship with? Thought about whether what we're offering actually resonates and who it resonates with, right? if we're offering to just set up their cold email and run it for 35 days, we're not doing that for a bigger firm, right? So do they actually have the problem that we solve? Is it urgent enough for them to act on? And boutique folks they want to scale. More often than not, they want to grow. And can we articulate it better than other agencies can? And I think so. Just because of my personal background and the fact that we are a boutique firm ourselves. So I intuitively found that the boutique staffing firm sweet spot would be companies making between $200,000 a year. So about, let's say, $15K to $45-50K a month annually, right? $40-50K a month annually, so $200,000 to $500,000 a year. 3 to 10 employees in headcount, founded in the last 2 to 10 years, so that they're not too stuck in their ways, and they're open to new methods of client acquisition and lead generation. And folks who don't have cold email set up, so perhaps they're just relying on referrals or cold calling or a basic website. So I think this works because they have the problem, but they don't have the solution yet. Sorry, I see my camera's lagging. Sorry about that, guys. So the targeting shift was the first lever. The second one is the offer shift, right? So we had a standard agency retainer pitch of, hey, we'll get you 5 leads a month, right? Or we can get you 5 leads a month. And you may be doing that as like a one-time thing, but I realize that implied by the a month part, it feels like a retainer offer, it makes trust a lot harder. So that was our before, and then we shifted to communicating the one-time setup offer with guarantees just a lot more explicitly. So verbatim or with words, communicating that this is a fixed one-time project fee, a test pilot, just to see and prove that it's going to work for you. And that if it doesn't, we offer a 100% refund guarantee. And we also went as far as saying that, hey, we're going to put this in a legally binding contract, because let's be real, it's the unfortunate reality of this space where companies promise money back guarantees and then they burn their clients. So we were mentioning in the copy a fixed one-time project fee, and I have the copy in my last video when I broke it down and did the analytics. 35-day completion timelines. We got specific about how long it's going to take for them to see results and what we need them to commit to. We mentioned the specific things that they're going to be getting. So, the trainings, the SOPs, the domains, the leads, obviously, and then the guarantee, right? So that's how we broke it down. We were pretty much, we had these statements in our copy pretty much verbatim, right? One time, you don't pay if we don't deliver, guaranteed results or full refund. We use the word guarantee. I know it triggers a spam filter a lot, but it worked for us, right? I think, and I don't know this to be true, but I'm just hypothesizing that a lot of people overthink that stuff, the spam words. I think if you have good copy in general and you have a good offer in general, you'll be okay, right? But yeah, this is what I was putting in the email, and then this is what it would communicate as well. It communicates speed. So when I say done in 35 days, when we write that as copywriters in our email, it communicates fast, which is a bonus point. Like that's a point you get. You want like 4 or 5 points, right? We handle everything, so we make it easy. Guaranteed results or full refund, that's certainty. It makes them feel safe. You don't pay if we don't deliver. That's another safety thing, risk reversal, right? No contract and one time, so it's less commitment, so it's easy. And so that's how, just looking at it as a copywriter, I think that is part of why changing the offer statement at least and modifying the offer slightly, I think that's what contributed to this campaign's success. Now, just diving a bit deeper, into the psychology of guarantees and why they're so important, why I was fine with breaking the spam word rule and just writing the word guarantee in the copy. So it removes decision making friction. It shifts risk from the buyer, the prospect, to us, the seller, which I'm totally fine with. If it gives me an opportunity to prove that we can get you results, why would I be so worried about risk? Unless it's just a totally unfair deal, I have no problem taking the risk and doing done for you and stuff. That's fine, right? Because we're just focused on getting our clients results at the end of the day, in the exact same way that we get ourselves results. And the nice thing about cold email is we're doing the exact same thing for clients that we do for ourselves, and that's already working for ourselves. So it's just that added confidence boost, not only for us, but the prospects and the people we're reaching out to. So it's like, hey, we're sending cold emails in the same way we do for ourselves. We're doing that for you. And you can see that it generates responses, which is why it's an easier conversation to have than other offers. I also mentioned that, we're going to put this in a legally binding agreement. Talked about specific KPIs that they'd hit. So, 3 leads in 35 days sort of thing. And then risk, that's not the whole offer, by the way. I'm just saying, we have these pieces in there. And then risk reversal did the heavy lifting as well. All they had to do was say yes. And we also made it a Loom campaign, which I'll talk about later on as well. So diving in even deeper into this. So why guarantees are so important in B2B, right? Because it addresses that number one objection where it's like, okay, what if it doesn't work? You think this is hard in B2C. It's also as hard in B2B. It's difficult in B2B too, right? Especially if there are multiple levels to the decision making here. Multiple people you got to go to. Now, each of those like risk reversal and guarantee things and legally binding contracts and stuff like that all compounds. Multiple guarantees multiplies the trust. Each guarantee addresses a different fear, creates a too good to refuse positioning, also known as a no-brainer offer. The thing that people make oh, I'm freezing here. There we go. What people tend to make a mistake on is they don't put enough energy and effort and sincerity into their guarantee, and it's kind of obvious, right? Like partial refunds, or it's a conditional guarantee with 100 different conditions that the client has to meet in order to get a refund. It's too vague, like a satisfaction guarantee. So if you're not 100% satisfied, you can ask for your money back, and it's not legally binding. It's just marketing talk. Our guarantee is like, hey, 100% refund. If not, okay, well, this is not right. ChatGPT messed this up. But our guarantee is like, we're going to put it in a legally binding contract, 100% refund, no questions asked, if we don't hit the specific number or the specific KPI. So people judge the probability of your success by your willingness to guarantee it, was my finding. We also shifted the copy. So we shifted, and just going back to the money printer blueprint here, cold email money printer blueprint. So we shifted the lead list, like we talked about. We got more focused and more narrow, right? By the way, if anyone uses Miro and knows how to get rid of this sidebar here, please let me know. I'm actually really tired of it. Or probably in the presentation mode. Yes, that's how you do it. Okay. But anyway, just as you're using Miro, just let me know. So first thing we shifted was the leads. Second was the copy. And then third was the offer, right? So let's talk about the copy, because we've talked about the other two. Two-step email sequence. And I think a lot of our success came from email 2. So email 1 was just simple, straight to the point, simple, regular format. I think the offer statement and the fact that the CTA was a Loom CTA. We went in with a Loom campaign strategy. Going back to this right here, we chose a Loom campaign strategy, best for building trust. And I think trust is a big indicator as to why the positive reply rates were what they were, and also it's easy to say yes to seeing a video, right? So it was simple, relevant, soft CTA, and has a human touch, right? One thing we did, and I'll talk about it more later, is we added a lot of human elements in the copy. So if you didn't watch my last video, let me go here. So we added lines like this, like figure this might be relevant, or throwing a bit of a Hail Mary here. And what I think that did was added a human touch to this. This was our call to action, something to the effect of, mind if I just send a quick 2-minute video, nothing novel, just standard Loom CTA, which made it easy to say yes and low commitment on their behalf. Email 2 is where I think we changed the trajectory of this campaign for the better. So we talk about these short. I'm not going to show the copy right now. I just want to wait until that the more recent campaign finishes up. But we broke most of the rules of second step emails, and we were just like, hey, if you guys aren't doing cold email, this is our best offer. They were going to provide this and this and this. If this doesn't happen, full refund. If you don't get this, full refund. No questions asked, legally binding. It was like 8-9 sentences. Bang, 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 bang. Like as close to a no-brainer as we could possibly make it without screwing ourselves over and going into the negative. So it was a complete explanation of what we'll do and exactly how we'll do it. Multiple layered guarantees and risk reversals, clear timelines and deliverables. What happens if we don't deliver? Legally binding contract. So, lesson learned. And funny, because when I was writing that out live, I actually showed the copy live, so you guys can just rewind. When I was writing that live, I'm just like, you know what? I'm just gonna do this. I know it's long, but let's just see where it is. I'm pretty sure I said that verbatim. Decided to go against the grain and break that word count limit, and I think it's paying off, because it just makes it really clear, and it's just really human, right? It doesn't look like someone's trying to do professional copywriting. So I think that's where the conversions are happening. I mean, I don't think, I know. They say most people, if they don't respond to your first email, they're not going to respond, but this is a clear example of where email 2 is outperforming email 1, which is fine. Sometimes it takes a follow-up. So mid-campaign, we had a 50%, we're at 50% positive reply rate on average. The final results are, this shouldn't say final results, this should say current results are 43.75% positive reply rate. That's for one campaign. So we beat the industry average by double. If you recall, the industry average is 20%, and then 60% positive reply rates on another campaign. That was really good. So most people give up after email 1. Real power is in the detailed follow-up that removes all the friction and objections. Just go for it. Just go for it. Just say, hey, just be human with it and say, hey, here's the best possible offer I can make if you're experiencing this thing. Right? 80% of sales happen after the 5th contact. This is just industry data. I don't know where ChatGPT got this, so please take this with a grain of salt. You know what? I'm actually not even going to co-sign that. I'm going to remove that before I link it in the description, because I don't want to give you guys false data. So why email 2 is converting? It's just follow-up. You know, it's follow-up. Perhaps they haven't had time to process the information yet. They don't have that sort of sense of urgency. Our number 2 email, the second step, again, we didn't care about the 50 to 100 word limit or spam words. We acknowledged the problem. We showed understanding. You know, we gave a whole solution overview in terms of what we do. We broke down the process in terms of how we do it. Again, the guarantee stack, social proof as well. We had a social proof line. And we even use these as social proof, like what we're doing for ourselves. And then there was a clear next step. We doubled down on the same CTA. We're like, hey, can I send you that video? Can I send that? Can I at least send you the video? And they'd be like, sure. So I think why a lot of people are having a tough time getting their positive reply rates up is because they're following these email templates, as were we when we first started, and we still stick to structure that we know works, but like we're thinking for ourselves a lot more, and I think it's paying off. And as a rookie, as a complete beginner, I get that you can't think for yourself because you don't know what works or not. You don't know how to put a cold email together. It's like you don't know how to make a Facebook ad, so you use a template that you know has worked for other people. But templates, you can't build I don't think, and please feel free to prove me wrong, but I don't think you can get to 5 figures a month with templates, but I don't think you get to an all-star agency with all-star results and all-star client testimonials on templates. Because people's offers, these businesses' offers are so unique in their story and their market. When you put everything together, it's just so unique. And I think copywriting in its essence is being able to adapt and tailor these cold emails and the way they're presented, this form of outreach, to every single client, their offer and their market and their ideal client profile. So that's why I think professional copy fails. Right? It sounds like everybody else. It creates a bit of distance because it's templated. It's actually over polished, right? And so I spoke about the human touch that I added there, and this is something that I usually wouldn't add for the sake of word count. I was obsessed with word count, and I'll make that another video perhaps. But even in the video where I was building this campaign live, I'm like, okay, I threw it into Hemingway, and I'm like, this is a lot of words. And so usually I delete sentences like this. I'd call them fluff lines. But I added it in here purposely, knowing that it was going to make the email more lengthy, because I felt like it would just make it more human at the same time. So lines like throwing a bit of a Hail Mary here, figure this might be relevant. I also was purposely getting some punctuation wrong, purposely getting some capitalization wrong, because nowadays you never know when these emails are coming from AI or some sort of scammer. And sometimes having an email be too perfect, too professionally copywritten, can work against you. I'm just hypothesizing. Things like, not sure if this landed on your radar, or a quick question for you, probably a long shot, but stuff like that, right? So just test different variations. This could all not be correct in a week. That's how quickly this cold email and cold outreach landscape changes. So these were our results, right? So if you recall, our reply rates were, about 1%, 0.8 to 1%, something like that, 0.6 to 1%, had some 2%. And our positive reply rates, most importantly, were like 16%, if you recall. So not joking, not clickbait when we said we 4X'd it. So from 0 to 15% to 40 to 60%, multiply 15 by 4, you get 60, right? So old, this should say 0.5. It wasn't even at 0.9, right? That should say 0.15. So that went from 15% to, or 0% at a minimum, to 43%, about 44% at a minimum, 15% at our hold on. 15% at a maximum to 60% at a maximum. Sorry guys, I confused myself there. So reply rates are fine. Anything, especially for a lead generation offer, anything between like 0.6, 0.65 to 2%, normal range, standard range. You could work with it, but if it's below 1%, you gotta be good on the positive replies side of things. And we just, we are sweeping the industry average right now. People hope and pray for a 20% positive reply rate. The elite folks, like the biggest players in the space, get 50%, 30 to 50% positive reply rates. We got 44% and 60% positive reply rates, which means we're moving in the right direction. We can scale this to the moon, which I have full intention on doing. I was going to mention something. I forgot my train of thought. Oh, right. I don't think this is going to be the case for every campaign, but it would be nice. If it is going to be the case, then I'll see you guys in 6 months when I'm famous. But, I understand that you can have some winning ads, you can have some flukes, and you can have some ads, some ads that don't do well this week, and then all of a sudden you just keep them running, and next week they're doing great. Right? But this is cold email, so let's stick to cold email. So just zooming into this again so you can see something that I'm really proud of, really proud of. So one thing that a peer of mine in this space whose work I really like, Matt Lucero, I say peer, but we've never met, full disclosure, I just watch his YouTube videos. One thing that he mentioned is, Matt, forgive me if I'm misquoting this, but if I recall correctly, it's about 10% of all the leads you contact, you get in terms of replies. So contact 1,000 leads, sorry, 1%, it was something like that. You get 10 responses, something like that. But he also said, which I remember correctly, you'd ideally want 1 meeting per every 1,000 emails sent. And we are very much there. We're very much within that ratio, which is good. So these are winning campaigns right here. I'm really happy about that. All right. So for every 1,000 emails sent, and you can see we have about 2,500, 2,600 emails sent here. Every 1,000 emails sent, you want 1 meeting. So if you guess that off of these 2 campaigns, we're gonna pass 3 meetings booked for sure, just off of these 2 campaigns, and that's this week, right? I wouldn't be surprised if we booked double that. It happens to be Thursday, so there's probably going to be overflow into next week, but we'd be looking at this pace, that's, at a minimum of 5 meetings a week, just going at this pace. And this is 1,000 emails a day. We're about to triple that. So this is just me being proud of my work and our work as a firm. We book, I put a case study of how we're booking 5 meetings a week. Like this is how we're doing it, right? This is why I'm documenting this in real time. So it's just undeniable proof, right? It's why I'm building the campaign in real time and taking screenshots, and I showed everybody, I showed the copy and everything. This is how you scale things really quickly, right? And hey, let's say we're having issues with converting the positive replies into meetings. Okay, fine. That's fine, right? That's fine. You just focus on that part of the funnel. Just focus on that part of the funnel and then improve that. And then perhaps you're having difficulties, when you get them in a meeting, you're having difficulties closing them. Okay, fine. We focus on closing at that point, right? And this is how I consult clients as well. It's like, what, don't lose patience, stay patient. We're just fixing each part of the puzzle. We're fixing each part of the client acquisition system, right? So if you go back to my first videos, like every case study I've put out on this YouTube channel has been fixing each part of the system. So fixing infrastructure, how we fixed deliverability, you can go watch that video. How we, fixed our offer, you can, how we fixed targeting and lead lists, how to do hyper targeting. And then our copy sucked, so we fixed copy. And I documented everything that I was doing and working, things that were going right and whatever it is. So that's where this comes from. How, managing our campaigns and what we're learning, what we got wrong, stuff like that. Success multipliers, why we're putting out so much content. Sales calls, stuff like that. And so this continues to expand. Analytics, this gets added to the system as well, right? So I think this is going to be the most comprehensive blueprint in the lead generation space, period, in marketing, period. And I'm just going to give that away for free. So really proud of ourselves, but we're probably going to be at, I wouldn't be surprised if we're at 10, 15 meetings a week in about 2 months from now. And for our clients, that's a game changer. It's game over, right? Which is why I love this work, because as we win, our clients win too, because we're just taking the strategies that are working for us and do the exact same thing for them, because when they win, they're happy and they leave us a client testimonial and give us a nice client interview, and I get to publish that, and we're happy as well, and it makes other people happy too. So funny enough, I actually had to pause recording this video because I just got a positive reply from that campaign. So let me refresh the numbers here. Hold on. Oh wait, no, it wouldn't count because it's in the same thread. So metrics stayed the same, but I just booked a meeting for next week. So speak it into existence, I guess. Anyway, email 2. I think if you're only going to send 2 emails, you should go out with a bang. You should make the second email like, don't have any shame. Don't come off as desperate, but just say what you need to say. You know, don't code it in professional copywriting. Just spit it out. Just spit it out. Don't worry so much about the copywriting. We go deep into copywriting. As I'm getting really, as I'm improving our copywriting, I share everything. If you guys want to learn more about copywriting, everything you need to know about copywriting, just go to the Cold Email Money Printer. Yeah. This is literally what I do, is right here. So email 1 gets attention, email 2 is getting conversions for us, right? Our positive reply rates jumped. They jumped. I was watching this increase. After I record and upload these videos, I'm like, man, why didn't I just wait? Why didn't I wait? Because as soon as I hit the upload button and it's uploading into YouTube, I get a new notification and it's like another positive reply or another meeting booked or whatever it is. It was just like, oh, I should have waited, you know, but hey, it's a good problem to have. But yeah, you know, don't write it off if your first email you're not seeing success. Let the campaign finish, especially if it's a test campaign, a small mini campaign. But this is you know, a 2 to 4x improvement. It is a 4x improvement in positive reply rates. That's 400%. We increase it's framing, but it's a 4x. That's the best way I can put it, where it's fair but not clickbaity. Because if I put 400%, it's like people don't understand what 400% is. 400% is 4x, right? So average agencies they're getting maybe 20% positive reply rates. Regular reply rates between 2 to 5%. I'd say 1 to 5%. So we doubled, if not tripled, the industry average for positive reply rates, which is really nice. So that's what happens when you do better targeting, better offer, and then better communication and framing of that offer, is you get exponential results. It increases it not just step 1, step 2, step 3, but literally by an order of magnitude. It's a hockey stick effect. So now I'm having trouble. It's funny to say, considering where we were just a few weeks ago, but I'm having some trouble keeping up with the responses now. Now, in terms of impact on revenue, you know, I'm just being open and transparent here, because I think this is the best way to summarize it, and this is going to be its own video quite soon. But you know, we had 3 positive replies from 3 test campaigns. So if we looked at just like an average $2,000 ticket size or deal size per positive reply, if we get them into a meeting and close them, right, that's $6,000 in sales pipeline generated. And that was over 3 campaigns. And then literally within 4 weeks, right, we launched these 2 campaigns. And this is all the screenshots I showed, by the way. If we go back to the original screenshots, you can see that they were launched in June, right? They were launched in June, and less than a month later, because it's July 10th. So the earliest campaign here was launched June 17th, right? June 17th. And then the most recent one was June 25th. So this is like, I don't know, 1 to 3 weeks later. So not even a month. We're starting to see those results. So that's how quickly things can turn around. So we went from generating $6,000 in sales pipeline from 3 campaigns to $24,000 in sales pipeline for Vintascale in 2 campaigns, about 1 to 3 weeks later. I don't know how else to put that, but we have $24,000 in leads. And now it's just conversion and conversion mechanisms, conversion strategy, and just doubling down on that, which I'll document as well as we continue to get that right. But the biggest thing is leads. Most businesses aren't growing because they aren't getting enough leads. They don't have enough pipeline. We quadrupled our pipeline. So we 4X'd our positive reply rates, and you know, increased positive reply rates by 400%, and then we quadrupled our sales pipeline by, I was going to say by 4%. We quadrupled our sales pipeline. So that feels really good. Because if in theory our conversion strategy is 100%, we don't have any leaks, so which means we turn all of these leads into meetings, and then we close all of those meetings. That's a $24,000 a month. Now, of course, people drop off, and some positive reply rates, like they see the video and then they don't respond. So I'm not saying it's going to be 100%. I'd like to get as close to that. And I discuss some strategies as to how I'm doing that. So these are the things I'm implementing. You guys, if you watch my last video, you know what I'm doing in real time, and I show you how it's working. And I record myself doing this stuff for the most part. This is exactly how I'm doing it. Like I'm just taking you guys along for the ride. So there's no question here, and I'm just to prove it's not luck. And so I just show this to my clients. I say, this is exactly what I'm going to do. And then I do it for them. And then it's like, well, yeah, because I've done it before in real time, and I've made all the mistakes. I'm making the mistakes live. I'm documenting the mistakes. There's always a section for what we did wrong, which is in this video too. We started off with that, and I'll end off with what's not going right and what we need to improve always. So I'm really happy with this. This is what it means in terms of money. If you didn't take away anything else, take this away is we're moving now. We got a machine going. So it's also just been a lot more efficient in terms of time, right? Less campaigns, more responses. Instead of creating 3 campaigns, which is tough, 2 very similar campaigns. I froze there. I lagged. Instead of creating 3 unique campaigns, bookkeepers, staffing and recruiters, and then boutique, and then lead magnet, and Loom. We stuck with Loom campaigns. We stuck with boutique staffing recruiters. So it was very easy to have things translate. And then we just refined the offer statement a little bit and stuff like that. Everything I spoke about before, right? And went more narrow than broad. So it was actually less thinking. It was just more stripping away and peeling in terms of the targeting. So not just better replies, but better business results. Any client would be ecstatic and would be excited to leave a testimonial if they saw these results. $6,000 in sales pipeline generated. Let's say that's there before, and then within a matter of 3 weeks. Let's just say that, to be conservative. Within a matter of 3 weeks, $24,000 in sales pipeline generated. Meetings booked, and being booked right now while this is recording. The only reason why I didn't show the thread is because I didn't want to expose all the email addresses and have people poach my clients. So what's next? And key takeaways. So our current focus is converting those replies into booked meetings. I'll continue to document my strategy, show where it's going right, where we're losing out on, where we're leaving money on the table, so on and so forth. So converting those replies into booked meetings. One of these campaigns is set to finish today. One was still at 50%, so I'll update accordingly if there are any major updates. Our results are improving over time, though, like I said, as sequence 2 goes out. So if it's at 50%, that means only email 1 has gone out, so email 2 is going out now. We're testing Loom scripts. I'm actually going to redo the Loom script today. We want to test direct response campaigns as well. So just direct CTAs. We don't want to have to do Loom campaigns all the time, because it can be a lot on our clients to record Looms and stuff, right? Even if we do it. And sometimes it's not the most efficient way to do things. So here, right? So direct pitch campaigns, just asking for the meeting, asking for the chat, like asking, hey, is this worth a chat? It's best for qualifying leads. It'll get us a lower response rate, and I'm sure it'll have it hovering between 0.7 to 1%, but hey, it's fine, because the people who do respond positively, they are qualified. So we're going to test a direct pitch campaign now that I think we have a good command over the offer and over the lead list that we're building, the targeting that we're doing. I'm going to test that out, and we'll see how that works. I also want to see how this works with other niches, because it's very likely that we can run through the whole staffing and recruitment market globally pretty quickly. Like I'm saying, if we're talking boutique firms, probably within the next quarter, right? So what we could be doing better. So the conversion optimization for sure, because I got three. How many positive replies did I get? 7, 8, 9, 10 positive replies, maybe 10 or 11 as of this morning. And we've officially booked 3 meetings. It's been less than 24 hours, but we've booked 3 meetings. And I want to get that to at least 5 meetings. So that'll make 50% meetings booked, right? Yeah. So out of 10 positive replies, if we book 5 meetings, that's 50%. That's beautiful. So we're almost there. So getting from 43 to 60% positive replies to actually booked meetings. That's where this starts to just print money. We're currently testing different Loom scripts and CTAs, like I mentioned. Experimenting with direct calendar links for decision makers who prefer efficiency. So instead of just asking for times back and forth, just sending calendar links and say, hey, absolutely feel free to schedule something here if Thursday at 3 p.m. doesn't work for you. We're kind of already doing that anyway, but we're experimenting with the best response to get them on a meeting. And I think someone somewhere out there has already just perfected this and given the blueprint. So I'm just gonna do more research and watch some YouTube videos on this. And then a challenge that we're having that we still have to work around and solve is how do we continue to make things personalized to where it doesn't feel like a human wrote it, but I can't speak today, but be able to send a lot of emails, so high volume of emails, but still keeping them relevant and having them feel tailored. So we're testing that out in Clay. I actually had some dude get back to me yesterday with a funny response. He's like, I pitched him our offer and he's like, no thanks, I don't talk to AI about AI or something like that. I guess he thought I was AI, or he thought I wrote the email with AI. Like I didn't record myself doing the copywriting for 2 hours, which is fine. So I replied to him and I said, I might just tweet this. I might screenshot it and tweet it. I replied, I'm like, hey, it's not, I totally understand, but it's not AI, by the way, but thanks for the compliment. I'll take it, something to that effect. And if you change your mind, just let me know. I'll be here. Anyway, so we're testing out how to do that in Clay. We are developing these email templates, our own personal proprietary email templates, especially for email number 2, that feel custom, but can scale. And then building systems for rapid prospect research. So how to build these campaigns really, really quickly and save time and be more efficient. Some more key takeaways. So wondering if this offer will work outside staffing and recruitment, right? We didn't do well with legal tech and construction tech. That actually bombed. And I showed those screenshots at the start of this video. But I think it can. We also bombed bookkeepers too, but I haven't given up on bookkeepers. I have something I think is really going to work. Very simple campaign. I just need to get them to respond. Yeah, that's where my head's at right now. Better tools for better results. We're testing out Smart Leads internal CRM, but I will say managing replies can be time consuming, and it just takes your attention away from what you're doing, because either I'm in a meeting or I'm recording content like this, and I want to reply within 5 minutes, so it just takes me out of what I'm doing. So that mental agility, but also CRM, and maybe hiring a dedicated inbox manager. We will see. I'd like to get a bit further ahead before I do that. Automating the follow-up sequences, sub-sequences, stuff like that. I'm handling follow-ups for people who haven't gotten back to us in the last couple of weeks, and it's just that remembering to consistently follow up. I think there's a better way to organize this stuff, if not automate it. Follow-up sequences. So what happens after the loom? What happens after we send the loom and there's no response? And I think a lot of people who do lead gen, especially cold email lead gen, sending looms, that's a problem that they deal with. So I have to get a lot of these folks on meetings. I just have to, because it's something that they need. And in a lot of cases, the reason why firms stay small is because they just, they're stuck in their ways. They ignore what they need, and they ignore things. And I get it, because a lot of people are skeptical. I'm skeptical too. But that's the nature of business, is you have to take a risk, right? Especially if someone says, I'm gonna do this and that for you, or 100% refund, legally binding contract. Like, it's as good as it gets without fully becoming a one-sided deal anyway. So I'm testing out the conversion mechanism, the follow-up sequences. I really just want to optimize that reply to meeting, that positive reply to meeting conversion process there. So that's going to be where most of my attention is at, whether it's at fixing our Loom script. Well, it's not a script, which is part of the problem, but fixing our Loom script, editing our VSL, editing website, continuing to put out social proof and these case studies. And just build systems that don't depend on us, myself. So perhaps hiring an inbox manager or whatever it is, or who knows. I'm just foreshadowing here, but that's likely what's going to be next for Vintascale. Perfecting the reply to meeting conversion rate, just keeping those replies quick and under 5 minutes, and then just figuring out how we can get to that 50% positive reply to meeting booked rate. We hit that, I'm happy, and then we can proceed. So that's the case study. If you have any questions, just leave a comment. Oh, it's lagging. Hold on. There we go. If you have any questions, just let me know. Just leave a comment. If you run a B2B business and you'd like to start booking, or you'd like us to set it up for you, manage it for you for 35 days to prove that it's going to get you meetings, or you don't pay full refund, 100% money back guarantee, no questions asked, everything I just said in this hour-long video, I'll leave the link in the description below to book a consultation with myself and see if there's a fit and how we can align, if the math makes sense, of course, for both of us. Okay, so see you guys in the next video. I'm out. Peace.